Hey there, Wedding Confessionals listeners. It's Brooke, just popping in to let you know that this is actually part one of a two-part episode. So just like normal, at the end of the interview, Pam and I are going to pop on to give you your bridal breaks. So sit back and enjoy our interview. Bye.
Something borrowed, something blue. Give us all your juicy news, sensational, irrational. It's Wedding Confessionals.
Welcome to another episode of Wedding Confessionals. I'm Brooke.
And I'm Pam.
And the only thing we love more than weddings
is talking about weddings.
We do love talking about weddings. We have a new guest.
We do.
Like a new person.
Yeah.
This is the first time since the 2.0 reboot.
Right.
I don't even know what you call. It's coming out of the dark ages. What did we call it? Our return to return? Our return to podcasting.
We're still clearly getting back into the swing of things.
Clearly really good at this again, guys. Just, it's like riding a bike. But we have a new guest.
We do. She's a friend of mine. So I met her through her now husband, who went to college, Emerson, with my husband. And I got lucky on this deal because he married an amazing woman. So welcome, Laura Salvati.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here.
I have heard just little tidbits about your wedding journey. What a journey.
It was a journey.
Okay,
yes.
Cool.
A big one.
I can't wait to get into it. So, Laura, just the way the show works, and for anyone new listening, is that listeners submit anonymously their confessionals. Sometimes they're questions, sometimes they're just stories. And then, we obviously read them out loud and then give them advice if we need to. But before we do that, we like to get to know our guest and kind of learn their history with weddings so that we kind of get an idea of where you're coming from when you're giving the advice. So we always like to start with the question, how old were you when you went to your first wedding?
My first wedding was my aunt's wedding, actually here in California in Santa Monica. And I was the flower girl, and I was 3.5 approximately.
I was a little kid.
So you remember it well.
I was a baby. I do actually remember it.
Really?
We had a whole girl spa day before the wedding. My aunt took me to her nail appointment, which I thought was just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And then we went and picked out barrettes for me to wear, which I was also very excited about. We were shopping on, I think, Wilshire in Santa Monica. And then we get to the wedding, and I did not realize that I was going to have to walk up the aisle by myself.
It's a lot.
Yeah. My mom was her maid of honor, sisters. So my mom was, doing her thing, standing up at the front of the church, and they were like, okay, it's your turn. And I was like, no, this is not happening. So I start crying.
Oh.
And I don't know, maybe make a couple steps, and then a relative that I didn't even know very well, kind of had to help me. And so that was that. But we have photos. They're adorable. I had a great time in my dress. I had a great time at the reception after. Just was the actual, couldn't really, my flower girl duties was too overwhelming.
That's a lot when you're really little.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of stressful as a bride, as an adult.
Right.
Coming down that aisle.
Just a lot of people looking at you all at once. If you're not used to doing that in your life, you don't have a job or you didn't do plays or something. It is kind of crazy.
Well, even for my daughter, when she was, and she's very dramatic, and she was 4, I think, when she was the flower girl at Jesse's wedding, and she just almost didn't make it down the aisle too. And I was surprised because I'm like, this is your jam, girl. But no, she got a little shy too.
Yeah. Crowds are not my jam. I do not like being center of attention. I don't like people looking at me. It's very anxiety inducing. So no.
Did that roll over into your wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to get to that. We'll get there. Okay, cool. So besides that wedding, did you go to a lot of weddings as a kid? Big family? You're from LA.
I am from Detroit area.
Oh.
Detroit area, Michigan. My parents are from upstate New York. So, I don't know. We had a like average size family, I guess I would say. And then, gosh, I've been to a lot of weddings. It was like a running joke with my dad and my brother where like some summers after college, I don't know. I mean, there was one weekend that I went to 2 weddings, Friday night and Saturday night.
Oh, wow.
I was like the girl that all of my guy friends, if they weren't dating someone or didn't have a girlfriend, would ask to go to weddings like with
You
them.
were the plus one.
I was the plus one
Yeah.
for like so many of my friends. And sometimes I knew their friends, sometimes I didn't, but
Isn't it kind of fun going to a wedding where you don't know people?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of
Yeah.
times. It's wild. You
And
feel
it's
like you're like at a play.
Totally. And
You just get to sit back and watch.
right. So I went to a Greek Orthodox wedding where they walk around things 3 times. And there was a lot of, it reminded me of Full House when DJ gets married. And do you guys remember that?
God, I don't, but now I'm going to find a link.
I know.
DJ gets married on Full House? Wait, the
Yes.
newest version or
No, the original version.
Is she old enough?
No.
Wait.
Oh, I know. I'm like, wait a minute.
She's like a child.
She's a child.
Is this
Like
legal?
13. No, but they like walk her on a table 3 times and she's like, okay, we're married. It's like Uncle Jesse's nephew or cousin or something. He comes to town. Anyway.
Just the casual child bride storyline of Full House. It was the 90s. Everyone was much more loose then with
Right.
children getting
Getting
married
married,
as part of sitcom plots.
No big deal.
Have you been a bridesmaid or a maid of honor?
I have. I've not been a maid of honor, but I've been a bridesmaid quite a few times, including a woman I worked with when I was in law school.
Did you know her that well? It sounds like no.
No,
Yeah, I know.
I was a like.
If you could see her face,
I was
she
a
was like,
replacement bridesmaid.
Ouch.
Like she had to like kick somebody out or something. There was some drama, and she was like, "Can you be in my wedding?" And I just remember saying to her, "But you don't know me. I don't know your family. I don't know the man you're marrying. We don't hang out outside of work."
How long have you worked with her at that point?
Not that long.
Like under a year?
Definitely it was somewhere, I don't know, between 6 to 12 months, I guess. It was very interesting.
so how much time did you have to get ready for this wedding?
Wait, did you
Like,
go to the bachelorette party of this person?
Did you have a dress?
We
I'm
want to
like-
know everything about this bizarre
She
situation.
purchased
Yes.
my dress for me.
That's really nice.
Right, because it was a strange situation.
Smart.
Maybe I went to the bachelorette. I honestly don't remember.
And then after you were in this woman's wedding, did you remain friends with her
No,
afterward?
no. I don't. Maybe I hung out with her once or twice after. No more than 5 times for sure.
Do you know any existence about her now? Like, are you Facebook friends with her? Do you know she's still married? No, she's just this person that
You're
came
just like
and
the
left.
stand-in in the photo.
Yes, basically. Yeah.
So that it was
So
even.
I'm the like random person in the photos. Yeah. It was interesting, and I went with a guy that I was, I think, about to break up with. We didn't last very long after. It was like a whole thing.
Did you like anyone at the wedding that day?
Some of the other people that we worked with were there, so yeah, I think I was like hanging out with them.
Were they thrown that you were in the wedding?
I honestly don't really remember. Maybe, but also because I was still in law school and I was, their like law clerk person. So it was women that were quite a bit older than me and who I worked for. So I don't really think we had a conversation about it. I know I talked a lot about it with the guy that I went with. And my mom was like, wait, whose wedding? Like, What's going on? Whose wedding are you in? Do I know this person? Do you know them? No. It was interesting.
Was the dress good? You got a free dress out of it.
It was fine.
You never wear it again, though.
No.
You don't.
You never do.
No, I put it in a closet at my parents' house, and I don't know. Maybe it's still there. Maybe it went somewhere else. I have no idea. I don't think I've ever reworn a dress that I wore in a wedding.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, that's usually the case. Everyone has high hopes.
Try.
But,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and it seems like you might rewear it, but then you just don't.
Right. So let's get into your wedding, your specific. Okay, so first of all, your husband's name is what?
Chris.
Okay, so Chris, how did you guys meet?
We met on an app. He will tell you, if you don't know any better than to listen to him, that I stole his parking space in, sometimes it's Trader Joe's, sometimes it's Whole Foods, sometimes it's some other bougie grocery store. So
So he created a conflict
He-
as your
he
meet
did,
cute because he's
yes.
embarrassed about the app.
I don't know, because most people we know met on an app. I think he just
Yeah,
thought
it's
it
not a
was
big deal.
No, so I think he just thought it was like funnier to say that I stole his parking space.
I like that
because-
your meet cute is you being, I guess, greedy or a reckless driver.
aggressive.
And I was like, love at first sight.
So no, we met on an app. We met on Happen.
Is
with-
that one still around?
I have no idea.
I've never even heard of that.
So
We'll look into
we
it.
met in 2018. He messaged me on Valentine's Day of 2018, which also happened to be 3 days before my birthday, and I thought the whole thing was very bizarre. I just was like, who messages somebody on Valentine's Day?
Oh,
This
that's
is like-
kind of sweet, though. He's like alone and kind of thinking
Yeah.
about romance. And
I mean, yes and no. The message
get
was
going.
like, hey,
She's
my
like,
name's Chris. I'm an attorney. I do blah, blah, blah. Here's my phone number. Message me if you want to grab a drink. I mean, it was very like, I don't even
His
know if
way
there
of
was
romance.
Right. I don't even think there was a happy Valentine's Day in there. It was me. It was my like Valentine's Day hang up. And I was like, this is very strange. Like, why?
But you still said
But
yes.
you were intrigued.
I did. But I waited. I messaged him, I think, on the 15th. And then I'm pretty sure I told him on the first date that I thought it was weird that he messaged me on Valentine's Day. But yeah, so Happen was an app that used your location, which sounds creepy, but it was intended to replicate meeting someone at a grocery store or at a bar or at wherever your local hotspots are.
That makes sense because there's two things. One, there's the idea of having shared experiences so you guys know the same stores and shops and,
Right.
and restaurants. So you have at least something to talk about in the beginning. Also, for the incredibly lazy, like I once dated a guy more like longer than I would have just because he lived 3 blocks away in Brooklyn. And in New York City, being able to date somebody close by, not having to hop on a train is like a dream. So I was like, he's good enough for a little bit longer. So like you said that and I was like, absolutely, I am in.
Yeah.
No one likes a commute.
Right. I mean, it turned out that he lived in the Valley and I lived in like West LA. So it did not.
There was a
and
fail?
Um,
that was another where I was like, oh God, that's really far away.
Valley.
Just because, I didn't work anywhere nearby, but we must have matched when he was at work in Century City and I was probably shopping at the mall is my guess.
This is getting better.
Doing some sad Valentine's Day shopping.
No, I think we had matched like well before that. That was the other thing with this app. It wasn't like, day of. It would show you when you matched, but it would kind of like show you if you kept overlapping.
Oh, okay.
Locations
So if you
with
go to
this
the
particular
same
person.
restaurant as this person over and over again.
Right. It'll
Okay.
keep telling you. So, yeah.
Interesting. It's like a polite grinder.
A little bit. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, so you go on a couple of dates. When do you get to the point where you're just like, oh, I think this is like, this guy's really like, this might be it? Was there a moment where you're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty early on. We had an interesting first date that I'm not going to get into details because he will murder me.
Oh, apparently, full disclosure, he's a friend of yours, Pam, right?
Yes.
And he texted you last night.
Yes.
He wanted to know all the questions we were going to ask you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. He was trying to get the insight.
Meanwhile, we don't prepare at all for this.
No.
The only prepared questions are like, well, how old were you when you had your first wife? Like, I really respect the fact that he thinks that we're like really hard-hitting journalists that have like laid this out. Meanwhile, we're just like, tell us about you.
Yeah. So our first date was, I wasn't sure about it. And I had a lot of discussions with a lot of people, including one of my best friend's husbands, who basically said to me, Laura, I've been watching you date in LA for the past 5 years at that point, maybe. It's gotten to the point where I'm no longer going to let you pick who you're dating because it's like that bad. I don't know
Like
what's
you're
wrong
not
with
good
you.
at choosing.
Yeah. And so when I started to tell him about Chris, he was like, this guy sounds great. I don't understand what the problem is. And then I think they were the first friends that Chris met. They invited us over for dinner. And at some point, Sam pulled Chris aside and was like, thank God. I can't hang out with these men that Laura is dating anymore. Like, so.
It's like, please stick around for my sake.
Right. Yeah. And they have now become besties.
Yeah.
They are
Sweet.
so similar. It is very sweet. They also moved to Australia in March or April. So now they don't live here anymore. But yeah, they definitely had a little like bromance of their own. So
That's sweet.
So I would say it took about a month, maybe not even that.
Okay.
It was, well, I can tell you from Chris's side. So the day that I met Laura was at another friend's wedding. And
You do attend a lot of weddings.
Yes, she's great at weddings. So she was there, and he was crazy about her. And Jeff and I were like, "Whoa, all right, And I don't know if you remember this or not, but we were all jam packed in a car.
Oh, I remember.
On the way back to the hotel or Airbnb that we were staying in, and Chris was announcing to the world, not just the car, like windows down, I'm gonna marry this girl. How far in were you had been dating at that
was
time?
The end of April.
So not long.
I don't know, 20 or later. I don't remember the date of the wedding. I just
can't
remember it was
remember
like,
either.
it was late April. I remember that.
Okay.
So he messaged me on Valentine's Day. We messaged that whole weekend. That was my 35th birthday. I was in Santa Fe with a girlfriend and we were messaging back and forth. We had our first date on February 24. And yeah, then we went to the wedding.
About 2 months later.
Yeah, about 2 months later at the end of April. So that was our first trip together. And yeah, we were all piled into this tiny little car. Chris was in the front seat. I was on his lap. You guys were in the back seat with another couple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There were
A lot of people in a small car.
Okay, it may not have been the safest ride.
Definitely legal.
No. However, it was very rural and there was no chance of getting another Uber. So we
Right.
this was our one chance, or
Right.
we were going to be walking like 30
Somebody's
miles.
going to the trunk if we have to.
In like
Yes.
pitch black, scary
yes.
country roads. Like not
So he rolled down the windows and yelled out to all the wildlife that he wanted to
and
marry you.
the car of his friends that he was going to marry me.
I do like when sometimes when you go to a wedding, it kind of stirs up emotions.
Brings
You
up
start
the-
thinking about your future, and he was in it.
He was in it.
That's a good
very,
one.
very early on. Yeah.
So how long did you guys date before we get into proposal?
We got engaged January 2020, so right before pandemic, and COVID was like kind of being talked about, but didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was just this thing happening in China.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And everyone was like, wash your hands. It'll be fine.
just shy, I guess, of 2 years.
Okay. So how did he propose?
I told him under no circumstances could he propose to me with anyone around or anywhere in public, and that my preference would be that it be at home. And those were my like ground rules. Like nobody can be around. Not acceptable. So it was on a Friday night and I'd been at work and I don't know, he was texting me like asking what time I was going to be home, which not abnormal for him. And I got home and walked in the door and he was like, oh, come in the kitchen. I have some wine out. Again, not anything abnormal. And we were just kind of chatting and there was a card on the counter, but like a homemade one. So he has been making me, sorry babe, homemade cards since the beginning, like leaving little like notes around. He like folds them all up and like draws pictures of them. We have 2 dogs. The dogs always make an appearance on the cards. The reverse of the card says like established like 2018 to forever. Like it's very, very detailed. Anyway, there was a card on the counter that had a clue in it.
Are there usually clues?
No.
Okay.
No, that was the first time that there was a clue. So it was, go search for something basically. And so I figured it out and went wherever in the house and found another clue. And so he had hidden clues all around the house. And so I'm, walking around the house and our 2 German Shepherds are following me around because they're like, okay, what's going on? What are we doing?
Scavenger hunt.
This is a really fun game, Mom. And the final clue led me to the guest room to where we keep our suitcases. And so I opened one of the suitcases and there was like a big box, shoebox, Amazon box, something that he had wrapped in Christmas paper because that was all we had.
Love.
It's January.
Right. Yeah.
It's fun.
And inside that was another card that I think said, "Will you marry me?" I don't honestly remember. I'm really bad at that sort of thing. But the ring wasn't in there. He had the ring in his pocket. So I kind of turned around and he, had the ring and asked, and that was that. We called our parents. We just had like wine and hung out at home. And then I started calling, some of my like close girlfriends. But yeah, so he did exactly what I asked.
I was gonna say he
Yeah.
did good.
He did good.
Yeah.
He followed the rules. And yeah, and then I knew it was happening. I knew my other everyone's gonna think I'm very rigid, but my other
You're clearly fun. Everyone brings you as a plus
was
one.
that I needed to pick out my ring. That
I know people that have done that. That's not
he
crazy.
Could not. I needed to pick it out. So I knew that it was coming because I had tried on the band without the stone in it. And he's not very good at keeping secrets. So I also knew the day that he had gone downtown to go pick it up. And so it really was like only a matter of time. Like there was no way that he was going to be able to hold on to that ring for very long before giving it to me. So yeah, that's
sweet.
It was sweet. He's very sweet. He's a very he's a sweet guy.
He is.
And really deeply cares about all of his friends and all of the people that are important to him.
Oh, that's so nice. So you are newly engaged. You've called all your friends and family that night. That day, that weekend?
Yeah, like that weekend.
When do people start quizzing you about like, what are your plans? What are you doing? Do you set a date? Right?
Yes.
Like relatively quickly, but I had already kind of started researching venues and things because we knew we wanted to get
knew
married.
it was coming.
I knew it was coming, and we knew we wanted to get married that year. We didn't want to wait. So I'm trying to think. Like some people kind of knew that we were already kind of thinking about like getting married in the fall or that year. Some people didn't know, but the people close to me definitely knew that we were gonna try to make it happen relatively quickly. So my best friend, really, she started kind of researching venues. Chris and I had talked about getting married in Palm Springs, and had kind of settled on that. And my friend found a garden that was inexpensive. I didn't want to spend all of our money on a wedding. And our parents were going to give us some money, but we were mostly going to be funding this ourselves. So my friend found a garden that looked really pretty, and it was a little like family owned botanical garden in Palm Springs. And there was a restaurant across the street that we actually had been to a party at the year before. And that was also kind of when I threw out the idea of, maybe we should get married in Palm Springs. And so I contacted the restaurant, and they were like, yeah, great. This is like where we can do the wedding. This is how the whole thing works. And so then it just became a matter of coordinating dates between the two venues. And so we had that locked in pretty early,
like February
before COVID shut down.
This was before COVID.
Yeah. When did you lock down the dates? Around like sometime in February then?
Yeah, very early February, or maybe even a week after we got engaged.
So you were like, great.
Wow.
What a great idea to get it all locked down early.
Yeah,
having no idea.
Totally.
Yes.
God.
So we were like
Oh my
done.
gosh.
It was planned. Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is the date. Like I had texted, started texting people, told my family. Chris told his family.
And like deposits are put down.
Deposits are put down.
How big of a wedding are we planning on?
So we were initially planning for, I would say around 100, no more than 150.
Well, as we discussed, you don't really love to be the center of attention.
Right.
So I can't see you having this like
Big
No,
wedding.
400
and that was even
person.
that was even bigger than I wanted.
Yeah,
But
you're like, can we elope?
right. But Chris wanted like everybody. Not surprising.
Opposite
Right.
attract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we were kind of, thinking, okay, it's going to end up being somewhere around 100, and the restaurant that we had the reception at, not that big. So we also had to, keep it within the confines of however many people we could have. But yeah, it was all done, deposits, the whole thing before COVID.
Yeah. So then we get into March, mid-March,
Right.
St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
Everything's rapidly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've already spent a lot of money.
I already have my dress.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fast. You're an efficient person, and I like it.
So my best friend, she's like, okay, we got to get you a dress. Like, I don't think you understand how long this whole thing is going to take.
And this is the friend that found the venue.
This is the friend that found the venue.
What's her name?
Her name is Marlene.
Marlene, shout out.
She loves weddings. She loves planning. She's very good at all of that.
And you're cool with giving some of the reins to Marlene to help.
Totally.
Fantastic.
Yeah, totally. Because I am not really a planner. Don't like planning parties. I am great at showing up to them, but I really have no interest in the details, like at all.
I think in general in life, one of the ways that you can be a successful person is understanding your strengths and weaknesses and outsourcing your weaknesses to others. Delegate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you had somebody who really enjoys this, like this is a thrill for her. It wasn't a chore at all.
No, not at all. And, I'm not the person that was going to show up to a dress appointment with like 10 friends because, again, just
Sounds like your nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I'm also, anyone that knows me even like semi well will tell you or anyone that I'm opinionated. I have like very strong feelings about things, and that I generally have a vision for how I want things to go. And so I'm really not interested in other people's opinions of
You want what you want.
anything. Yeah, exactly. So I've been dress shopping a lot, and I always felt like, I don't know, the bride's opinion of whatever it was that she wanted to wear got lost in the opinions of all of these people that she brought with her. So,
Oh, you mean the reason why Say Yes to the Dress is still on air?
right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So if I had been able to bring my mom, I would have brought my mom, but my mom was in Michigan. That just wasn't going to work. So I went to 4 total stores, appointments, whatever. I went to 2 appointments by myself. I went to 2 appointments with Marlene. The first appointment and the third dress I tried on was the dress that I ended up choosing. But I needed to go see what else was out there, make sure that was really what I wanted, whatever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think I ordered my dress at the end of February, I want to say, beginning of March. It was definitely before things shut down. So that was like done. I'm like,
You're
okay,
check,
right,
check.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we're done.
Because what was your wedding date?
So we got married on September 26th.
Okay, so you're like, I only have a few months to get all this stuff done.
Right.
Yeah.
And the women at the bridal salons were like, you don't really have a lot of time. Now, I didn't pick a dress that needed it didn't have a lot of like stuff. So that in theory would make it easier in terms of alterations and all of that. But yeah, they were like, okay, you're cutting it kind of close here. Turned out the dress came in July, plenty early. It was no problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got a little freaked out. Like, oh, okay, I gotta get on this. I don't have time to,
Yeah. So then you hit March, everything starts to shut down. What do you do as a bride?
So Chris and I just kind of, I don't know, we were like, okay, are we going to be able to have the wedding? Like, what are we going to do?
Right, because it was, okay, everyone paused for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Then it was
Yeah,
6 weeks.
yeah.
Then it was Easter.
Right.
Then
So
it was.
it kept getting pushed.
Yeah. And I kept kind of talking to the venues. I was in contact with the reception venue because we were, I needed to, I don't know, figure out, I guess, food and I don't know, whatever. We were still kind of talking and figuring out all of that. And when it became apparent that we might have a problem, I sent an email or called and said, hey, what are you guys doing? Are you having events? Do we need to think about canceling this? And they just kind of said, well, we don't know, which obviously nobody knew. And they said, we can put the whole thing outside. You just would have to significantly decrease your guest count. So felt good about that.
And at that point, did you send out invitations at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
So we could have, changed everything. And I don't remember when we sent out our save the dates, but we even kind of like held off on sending those because we didn't know. The garden outside.
Yeah, you'd already picked an outside venue.
Privately owned, so that was helpful-ish. So yeah, we just kind of were like, well, I guess we'll wait and see what happens. And that was kind of our mentality because we really didn't want to wait to get married. And we had time, and so we just kind of waited.
But you also had family members flying in, so that made it tough too, because with all the airlines shutting down and...
Right, exactly. My family's out of state. Chris's family's out of state.
Where is Chris's family from?
His dad is in New York. His mom's in Florida. So
everywhere,
also,
yeah.
Also East Coast. Neither one of us are from Los Angeles. So we also had not only family, but friends that live elsewhere. So that was obviously another complication, and something that we really spent a lot of time talking about. And what are we going to do? And ultimately, we determined that we couldn't make a decision at that point and that we still had time. And so we just kind of kept telling everybody, look, you might have to be flexible. As of right now, this is what we're doing, but we don't know if we're going to be able to. And as of right now, you're invited, but you might not be invited. Ultimately, we might end up just having our families super small. Maybe we're going to have this in our backyard. We don't know.
Right.
So
you're locked in on the date. Like, you don't want to change the date. So whatever everything else changes, you're like, we're getting married on this day. Which
Exactly.
I totally understand. So when do you actually send out firm invites to people? Or did you actually
we
ever
did. No,
send
we
out
did.
invites?
We sent out
Okay.
invitations. I think
Because I could see you'd be like, guys, this isn't even worth it. Here's an email. It's like a
I think
text
in
blast.
July. No, because I really liked our invitations and I had a whole aesthetic that I was going for. And I'm like, no, we're doing invitations.
Okay, let's pause because we have been giving a lot of stressful stuff and I feel like we're talking all the negative. Let's talk for a second about this aesthetic. Give us the vibe. Botanical garden, Palm Springs. What kind of dress? Very simple dress, you said, right?
Simple dress, white.
What were the other vibes you were having?
Just like simple, classic, chic. I'm not really someone that wears a lot of color. So I didn't, even in talking to our florist, she's like, okay, well, what colors do you want? And I said, I want white and green. Like,
Did you like your florist?
loved her.
Who's your florist?
Allison Franchi at
Okay.
La Petite Gardenia. She is incredible. My flowers and the decor that she put together was my favorite thing ever.
Was
She's
she
amazing.
Palm Springs or LA?
No, she's LA.
Okay. Wow.
So she has a local shop in like K-Town ish. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was
and what's the name of the botanical garden that you ended up in?
Morton Botanical Garden.
Okay. And what was the restaurant?
Mr. Lyons. I had like a moment where I couldn't remember. Mr. Lyons. It's a steakhouse in Palm Springs.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I wanted it like classic, simple, kind of like, I don't know, classic Palm Springs vibes. If you think about, when everybody was going there in the 50s and 60s, like that kind of
that
thing.
modern, mid-century modern
Yeah,
vibe.
exactly.
Cool.
Chris wanted to wear a tux, which, so because it was COVID, and then when we ultimately did, have the wedding, we decided to do black tie optional because, like, why not? Nobody's doing anything else fun this year.
Everyone's so excited not to wear pajamas. Totally.
Right. So we were like, if you want to dress up, like, go for it, And a lot of my friends, their husbands had tuxes from their own weddings. So they were like, okay, another, like, I can wear my tux again.
Nice.
And then, some people were like, black tie optional? Like, what? It's in Palm Springs. This like doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yes, it does. Like, trust me, like when you see it, like it does make sense. But yeah, I just wanted it like simple and like clean, and I guess a focus on just how beautiful Palm Springs is in general, but like enhanced with our decor.
Nice.
So
Sounds lovely.
yeah. It was very pretty.
okay,
It
so
was beautiful.
because you're having to pare down, right? So you originally thought about 100 people. Now you're realizing because of you're changing of how we're going to be doing things, we have to lessen the load of people coming. Was it hard to do that, or were people kind of politely volunteering, like, I am not safe to travel, or I have a medical issue? Like, how did you figure out how to cut down a guest list? Because that's difficult in normal times.
Yeah. So some of it was just kind of people saying like, hey, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to come. Some of it was we just really went through the people that like we couldn't imagine not being there. And I mean, it was hard. It was really hard to sit down and like cut people. Chris plays on a baseball team and has been playing on a baseball team in LA for 20 years. And he really wanted his like baseball guys there. And we had to call them and say, I'm so sorry. We really want you there, but we just don't have enough room.
So were people understanding?
Yeah, everybody was super chill and understanding about it. We didn't have
Thank God,
Good.
because you're
Yes.
going through hell. I mean, I
Yes.
can't imagine if somebody was shitty in this situation.
You never know.
That's true.
Thankfully, everybody really understood. And we even had people kind of saying like, look, if you need more space because of whoever family member, somebody, that you need to be there, like we'll bow out kind of a thing.
That's nice.
So everybody was very, very, very understanding. And we, invited the people, and not everybody came. I mean, we had a lot of people say like, no, I can't travel, or no, I'm just not comfortable being around people that I don't know, or I'm comfortable being around you guys, but I'm not comfortable being around people that have been on an airplane. It was, it was a lot. It was a lot.
So in the end, you're imagining 100. How large was your wedding?
So it was 50 people, including Chris and I, which now, when I tell people and they know when we got married, they're like, oh, that's a lot for COVID. And I mean, it wasn't, because we had, like, it was, but it wasn't, right? Because our friends are mostly all married or coupled, and, you can't
how
just
did you-
invite the one person.
Right.
Like, Jeff was you weren't going to come originally, I think, right? Or Jeff
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And then he called Chris and was like, hey, Pam can come. Is there room for her? And there was, because somebody else had planned to bring someone, and then they didn't end up, and somebody else dropped out. And so there was also a lot of that, like, which I know happens with every wedding, but there was a lot of shuffling even at the end.
At that last minute.
Yeah. Of like, oh, hey, like, okay, I said I wasn't going to come, but now I want to come. And I'm like, we are 50 is like a hard limit, like not set by me, but set by Mr. Lyons. That was, what they were comfortable with and could accommodate. And, so.
Well, and it was hard too, as a guest, we were going to send Jeff because, they're college buddies. Of course, he needed to be there, and I wanted to go, but we were also dealing with kids.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was wondering, how many people couldn't
and-
come just because like childcare situations.
Quite a few.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have, family that could watch the kids. So we were trying to figure out childcare.
So what did you do like with the was it Mr. Lyons is the name of the so how did they figure out like how to seat everybody? Because I'm sure everyone's kind of like potted up.
Yeah. So we did. No, I'm trying to think how many tables we did. We did 6 tops, where everybody that sat at each 6 top was like comfortable with and or knew the people that were sitting with them.
Yeah.
So it was not your typical like seating chart.
I was gonna say, this is stressful.
I was calling and texting our friends and saying, here's who I'm thinking of seating you with. Are you okay with that? We also had friends that weren't comfortable sitting with anyone. And so I did 4 2-tops so that those couples could just sit at a table by themselves.
Yeah.
And the 2-tops kind of all sat together. So like they all still felt, it was like they got to sit with people, but they were out, everybody was outside and they were at their own little table. But yeah, I did a lot of, okay, so can you sit with so-and-so? And, some people, pretty much everybody was like, yeah, that's cool. And then we did a family table, with my mom and dad and Chris's family members that attended, and with his friend that married us. But even that was a little, his friend was like, oh, so we're sitting with like lots of other, like that was a thing, right? I mean, it ended up, the conclusion that most people came to was, okay, we're all coming here together. We've all determined.
You've all made the calculated risk.
Exactly.
Right.
We've all done the risk benefit analysis here, and we've decided that the risk of being at this wedding outweighs the possible issues, I suppose we'll call them, that could arise, right? And I'm going to go and I'm going to be there and I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with. We had some guests that came and they had dinner and they had drinks, but didn't socialize with anybody else except for the people at their table. And, who didn't stay like late night, So yeah, I just told everybody, you do what you're comfortable with. If, all you can do is come to dinner, or if all you can do is come to the ceremony, then like, that's fine. Like, you do you. I don't.
Yeah, you at no point had hurt feelings about everyone's point of view or anything like that.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just be perpetually upset. We both had some close friends and family members that did not come to our wedding. Never in a million years did I think that like there would be certain people that were not at my wedding, and that was a tough pill to swallow for me and for them. But that was, just kind of like what we had to deal with. And in hindsight, yes, it's still sad that those people weren't there, and it will always be sad. But I'm also so glad that we did it now, knowing what we know and how COVID was going to go, and how expensive weddings have gotten and how hard it is to get a venue and all of those things. So I'm glad that we did it. And
you had no issues health-wise with anybody later. So
knock
on
thank
wood.
God. Like
the
no
precautions
one,
you took.
Yeah.
You took a lot of precautions.
Everybody needed to be masked.
We're wearing masks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was fully outside. The restaurant, they had face shields, masks, everything was plated separately. Nothing was like, nobody's food was touching anybody else's food.
So we're talking about all the COVID-y stuff, which I'm sure absorbed you.
Yeah.
But the actual wedding day, you had fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I had
good.
a great time.
Okay, good.
I mean, it was like,
I feel so bad because we're quizzing you about all the details
but
because you were in a unique situation.
Yeah.
But I hate to you had this beautiful meet cute that's either fake in a grocery store parking lot or real on an app. You had this wonderful proposal, and then it's just it just becomes this slowly horror story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, just nightmare of managing people and expectations, your own expectations.
Right.
And then there's a health crisis on top of all of this, on top of you, dealing with managing your wedding. I'm sure you have on your own life stresses of your job and things changing because of COVID and just reading the damn news. So that's a lot.
Right. And not really, normal wedding planning. You're with your girlfriends or your family or whatever all the time. During COVID, I wasn't really seeing anybody.
Did you do any sort of shower or bachelorette party?
So
how did that go?
I did not do a shower. I had no interest in having one. We had been living together for the majority of our relationship. We didn't need any more stuff. I just didn't really care, to be honest. I just wanted people to come to the wedding. And it was just one more thing that we would have had to figure out. And I did not want a Zoom anything. My best friend and some of my other really close friends did manage to plan the loveliest COVID bachelorette party for me. They rented a house in Topanga with a pool, and it was small and it was only, women local in LA. But we had a great time. It was, it was really lovely. It felt so nice to finally be around everybody. I had a massive breakdown after, a few too many drinks and before dinner, because it was all of my emotions just came gushing out. So I had a, sobbing session in the bathroom, which feels very high school or college, but it was the first time I'd really
so good.
It was the first time I'd been around, like more than one person at a time.
Yeah.
And so
Just like a little taste of normalcy.
yes. And it was like, that was what my body had been waiting for. And it just like all came out.
I can tell you the first time I went to a restaurant after being vaccinated and feeling comfortable, we went to like outdoor eating, and my husband and I tried to go somewhere. We tried to go get sushi, and the place, it didn't work out. And we ended up going to this other place, and it was just kind of an annoying night where like we couldn't find this, and we had to wait here and and it was like, it was fine. It was like it was fine. And then we get home, and my husband's kind of like, oh, like that was kind of not how we expected the night to go. And we're a little, you could tell was just a little irritated. Meanwhile, I'm just so overwhelmed that I got to have dinner not at my house. And the fact that it was like struggling to find parking and then this not working out. And I haven't dealt with any like just normalcy, that I got out of the car and I started crying. He was like, I didn't think it was that bad. And I was like, no, I'm so happy. That was so fun.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I missed looking for parking spots on Ventura Boulevard.
Oh my
I
gosh.
get
Right,
it.
exactly.
It's
So
just
I didn't realize
overwhelming.
how much I missed having
Yeah.
that like female energy around me.
Yeah.
Yes, because living
And-
with dudes.
Right,
Ugh.
right. So yeah, so they planned that, and it was absolutely beautiful and like so lovely. And so I was so thankful for, my friends that planned that, and for the friends that were able to come. And yeah, then the wedding, I didn't have a bridal party. Chris didn't have any groomsmen. His friend married us. So it was like very intimate, which is what I wanted. And then COVID kind of made that easier to like really have that. We stayed at a beautiful hotel in Palm Springs
What's the name of the hotel?
La Horizon.
Okay.
So made up of a bunch of bungalows. So it was like also like
Cool.
everybody felt really comfortable, and the property's not that big. So really easy to social distance, and you have all of your own space, and the common areas all outside. So, in spite of COVID, we still got to have like the friends that stayed there. They like became friends with one another if they hadn't met, or were happy to, see one another again. And, it was really lovely. And day of, I did my hair and makeup in my room with two of my close friends, my mom. Chris's mom came and got her hair done and left, but it was just a really like nice, pretty low key day. Ceremony was later in the day,
Yeah.
5:30.
You said before that you don't really love all eyes on you back when you were 3.5. So now you're an adult and all the eyes are on you. How did that go?
It was fine. I'm not,
It's not for you.
I do not like being the center of attention. It just really is not my favorite.
How do you feel about the two of us staring at you right now?
So
Should I turn away?
No,
Just look
it's,
at Ruth?
that kind of thing doesn't bother me. It's more like to be up in front of people,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. So, but walking down an aisle, I mean, I wasn't nervous about it, I don't think.
And doing the vows, it was chill. You just kind of were in the moment.
I wrote my vows the day of. There's
Yeah.
a picture of me like sitting on the bed in our hotel room with like a yellow legal pad, like writing out my vows. I am a procrastinator, like through and through. I am not someone that really prepares for much of anything.
How quickly, like how soon do you arrive at an airport for a flight?
Oh, if it was my way, I would be there. I mean, if I'm carrying on, definitely less than an hour before the flight.
Okay.
If I have
She's
to
my
check,
people.
if I have to check, then I have to be there obviously in order to do that. Chris is the polar opposite.
Yeah.
And wants to be at the airport like, I mean, an hour before we take off.
Yeah.
Like we need to sit at we need to go find a bar. We need to go have a drink.
Yes, I am Team
Two
Chris.
drinks. And
I
I was
want.
like, why are we here so early?
I wanna sit
at my
what are we
gate.
doing? So yeah,
I'm with you.
So you're scribbling down
So I'm
the
scribbling
vows.
down the vows.
So you're just like freestyling up there, being like, yo, you're cute. Let's do this.
Yeah. Chris's were typed, I think. Maybe. Yeah, I think they were typed. but
Laminated.
also they were not laminated, but I think he had been like working on his. I had like sort of started to think about what I wanted to say, but even in college and law school, working as a lawyer, everything, I like spend my prep time just thinking about what I want to say. And then whenever, right before it's due, however long it's going to take me to actually like type it up is the amount of time I spent on that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So eyes on you. Did you guys do like a first dance and everything?
Was we
that too
did. I
awkward?
had
Okay.
to talk Chris into doing that because he's not.
Really?
Yeah. He's not a dancer.
He's just a shouter
But
from Cars.
He does.
Seems like a type. Well, when you tell me what I know
he
about
does
it.
like the
Yeah.
attention.
Oh, he loves the attention.
He had a PowerPoint presentation for the wedding.
Wait, the wedding had a like there's a screen?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
guys.
And this was like sprung on me, and he's like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna do a speech," and I was like, "Huh?"
Wait, during the ceremony or during the reception?
During the reception.
Okay. You've brought into Mr. Tony's whatever. What's his name? The restaurant, Mr. Lyons.
Mr. Lyons.
Mr.
My dad is
Lyons.
Tony.
Mr. Lyons. They've brought in a screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the PowerPoint presentation about?
a lot of things?
Like your love or
No.
not about.
It was about.
Was he trying to like sell property to people? Like what's going on?
It was about a case that he was very invested in at the time.
Wait, the case that he's currently working on?
Yeah, it has since settled, thank God.
Is he breaking
brought
like
his
client
work to
privilege?
No, none of that. But he like talked about that. He at some point
The emergency
in time,
card.
right. He at some point in time was the emergency contact for I think like all of the friend group from Emerson and
that's fun.
maybe even like friends of them. And a lot of these say Chris Norton, his cell phone, the relationship was my attorney.
Love it.
Yes.
To the point that like at some point a lot of the guys were working at the same company and the HR or whoever person that's going through these emergency contacts forms is like,
Who is this person?
who is this person? She called him to see if he was real and like why he was listed.
I think Ruthie got into the snacks.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna pause the show and see what Ruth did. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, let me see
Those
what's
might have been the
happening.
chocolate chip cookies.
Oh no.
Oh no,
No
she's
chocolate.
little. No. Oh, Ruthie. She all right?
That was loud.
It was.
The cat. No, the dog. Sorry.
Which? Cat or dog?
Here's the best part, guys.
Both of them?
She knocked it over and then ran
And
to her
then
dog
ran
bed in
away.
another room.
Yeah.
And
It
just like
scared her?
acting
Yeah.
like, but
Right.
as like that wasn't me.
Right. Definitely.
Blame the
wasn't
cat.
Yeah, with the cats, we know it's not the cat because the cat's behind the door. But that was when the cat fucking do. Oh my god. Okay. Hi. Sorry, guys. So he's the emergency contact,
And he is real.
But he's real. So and
that's in the PowerPoint
it was
presentation.
also in
Yes.
the PowerPoint
Okay.
presentation. So the PowerPoint presentation slides got a little messed up. The final slide was supposed to be an emergency contact form with our names on
Aw,
it.
that's
Right.
sweet.
Very, very sweet.
Yes.
That did not actually happen because something happened with the slide. So he was very upset about that.
Oh no.
But yeah, it was, I mean, I don't know. It was like him talking about football and sports and like the emergency contact form. And
How long was the PowerPoint presentation?
It was through dinner. I mean,
Wait, you're eating while this is? It's
yes.
like dinner theater.
yes.
Did you just eat through it?
No, I stood up there with him.
Oh God.
Yeah. I don't know. He like thanked people for being there. There were some jokes. There was like some stuff. I mean, anyone that knows Chris, I'm sure, was not surprised by this at all.
What did your family think?
Um,
Did they know it was coming?
I don't remember if we told them or not. He may have told them.
Did you get any weird responses afterwards?
No,
Okay.
everybody just kind of was like,
that's
Chris.
"Yeah,
normal.
this is
Yes.
normal. This is Chris." Like, you know, people were laughing, like, because he likes to tell people about, you know, various things. So it's not like this was not like news to anyone about like
He's
what he
very
was talking
spirited about things.
He is very spirited and exuberant about
Yes.
just most things in life.
He's got a lot of energy.
Yeah,
Except for on the dance floor.
Lots of energy.
Would he dance like other dancing besides just the first dance? He's not a dancer.
No, not a dancer
But you
at all.
convinced him to dance.
Yeah, I told him that we needed to do a first dance. He really did not want to do one. And I told him he also needed to dance with his mother because it's just like part of the deal. So he did manage to do that. You know, it was fine. I mean, he turned it into like a goofy moment where he like picked me up and like, you know,
Picked you up like Dirty Dancing style?
no,
or just like,
like slung me like over his shoulder, maybe.
Oh, like
I don't
fireman
know.
sort
Like
of
he
style?
just kind of like picked me up
Oh.
and was like, I don't know, like because he like couldn't
know what to do.
Didn't know what to do. Couldn't
Yeah.
make it through the whole dance. Needed to like do some performing to like make people laugh and like, you know, get the attention off of
sure.
him and his dancing or whatever. I don't know. But no, that he did not dance with me like at all at the wedding. Other than that,
I did.
Pam did.
Okay, there we go.
You know, some like our other friends' husbands were or boyfriends or whoever, they were dancing with
Okay.
me, but Chris was like, I don't know what he was
Well,
doing.
it is his wedding. He
It
shouldn't be
is. He-
expected to. I
exactly.
mean, he should enjoy
Yeah.
himself as well.
No, he
yeah.
doesn't dance with me at weddings or at any sort of things like that we
He's
go
not a
to.
dancer.
No, he's
and are
not a
you
dancer.
you are. I'm guessing because you've been a +1 so much. You are a dancer.
I love to dance.
Okay. Yeah.
And definitely love to dance at a wedding. Because there's like no better place to dance.
It's the best.
Um,
It is.
And you know, it's COVID, so we haven't, who knows when the last time I had been to any sort of dancing situation.
Sure. Soak it in while you can.
Right, exactly. And by that point there were, I don't know, 15 people left. Maybe.
Yeah.
It was
I thinned out.
it was very
But-
intimate, you know, like my mom and dad stayed and they were just kind of hanging out, you know, chatting, whatever. I think my brother and his girlfriend were still there, but like my brother probably was with Chris because my brother also didn't want to dance. So it was kind of like me and like my close
girls.
it was like the girls and then like a couple of the boys that like really liked to dance. We did not have a DJ because like I didn't even know if anybody was going to dance.
Right.
So
Just like an iPad or
I had
iPhone.
I had made a playlist ahead of time that then didn't even get used somehow. Something happened, I don't know, and then
Technical difficulties at its reception.
there were some technical, like there was some audio stuff.
So
like,
how did music
happening.
get played? Did
Well, no,
somebody
it got
else?
played,
Figured out.
but
Okay.
like the other guys, they just kind of like
DJ.
like
Yes.
spur of the moment and
That's
like took
fun.
turns. It was
Yes.
it was very sweet.
Feels like a house
was
party
cute.
by the
It
end.
did.
a little
Yes.
bit. Yes, it had a house party vibe.
Because, you know, like, I'm sure your playlist was wonderful. And then it's
There
like,
was a lot of
then
overlap,
there was
quite
some
frankly.
like random, you know, songs that would get tucked in there. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, the guys that were ended up being in charge of the music have some really good music taste and then some very like eclectic music taste to the point that at the end I was like, you are playing the song or else this needs to this needs to happen. Thank you. But
No, it was fun.
we had a great time.
Yeah.
Ruthie has walked back in the room, guilty as hell. There were no cookies left on the plate.
Oh,
They had fallen over. Did she eat them?
If there were no cookies left,
there were no cookies left.
Yeah.
Were there
Yes.
cookies there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There were like 3.
Yep.
maybe 4.
All right, we're on barf watch.
Oh boy.
Ruth.
Speaking of dogs, though, I don't want this to go by. She had signature cocktails.
I did.
That were so cute.
So Chris came with 2 German Shepherds. I've never owned a dog in my life or any pet other than a fish that I had when I was like 5, and her name was Rosie. So yeah, Chris has 2 girl German Shepherds. They are large. They're, close to 80 pounds. It was a rough adjustment when we all first moved in together because it's a lot of fur and a lot of just like in your space
It's a lot.
all the time. Yeah. So, but Mr. Lyons, because we didn't know who ultimately was going to show up and whatever, and it was a very small wedding, I was like, we are not messing around with cocktails. I want top shelf liquor. I want to pick everything. I want good wine. I want good beer. And I think the restaurant, maybe, I don't remember how we ended up with the signature cocktails. Maybe it was Mr. Lyons. They offered it because of how much we were spending on booze. And I had kind of forgotten about it. And then Allison, Franchi, who did the flowers, was also doing my day of coordination. And she was like, okay, so what about these signature cocktails? What do you want to do for that? And I said, oh, I kind of forgot about that. So Chris and I kind of started talking about it, and Chris loves margaritas. He is very much a creature of habit. He doesn't really do mixed drinks. He likes light beer, the grosser and the lighter, the better. Yes. Bud Light, Miller Lite.
We could be drinking buddies. I'm on board with all of these things.
Yeah, you could not pay me to drink a Bud Light or
what
a
is
Miller
your
Lite.
preferred drink?
Oh, it really depends.
Okay.
Champagne, a gin and tonic, a vodka dirty martini, red wine, white wine. I'm not, the one thing I really don't like is beer. And if I'm going to drink beer, it needs to be good beer. But so we did a margarita for Chris. And Chris's favorite restaurant in all of Los Angeles is El Coyote. And their signature margarita has pineapple and some other things in it. So we gave the restaurant a very specific recipe to make this margarita with the pineapple and with whatever. And I like gin and tonics, and they just feel very classic and also very Palm Springs. So our second cocktail was a Hendrix and Tonic. And we named them after the girls because they could not be there, even though Chris was really pushing hard to have them attend the wedding.
Oh,
yeah. I said that there was no way that I could have either one of them around me in a wedding dress. Because
fair.
Yes.
they know no boundaries. So the Hendrix and Tonic we named after Emmy. And she's the shy, sort of pensive, nervous one. And the margarita we named after Muppet, and we came up with cute little descriptions for both of them and put pictures of them on the bar. It was very cute.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
It was so cute. I love that. That
Yeah.
the dogs couldn't be there, but
Yeah.
they found a way for them to be there.
We put some
So,
photos up of them, and
was
so
so cute.
they were there in spirit.
Yeah, well, you only have that hard 50. You can't have more.
Right. And they are basically people. So
80 pounds.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
significant.
It's like a child.
Yeah.
Like a large
A
child.
large child. Yeah.
Okay, so after all that's said and done, what would you say was the best part of the whole experience from engagement to the end, and what was the worst part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a specific worst? We'll do worst first. Let's go the negative out of the way, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long list, huh?
No. I think probably the worst part was really close family and friends that could not be there. For me, my aunt, whose wedding that I had been in, she did not come. Her and my uncle just didn't feel comfortable getting on a plane and traveling. And so that was, worst, but in like a sad sense, not in like a, I don't know. I think worst can have like multiple connotations. So
sure. What's an emotion? It's like what hits you the hardest.
Exactly. So like that was really hard. Chris's dad was not at the wedding and his brother was not at the wedding, and for the same reasons. They did not, with work and having to quarantine and just not feeling comfortable getting on a plane. And then some of my like really close girlfriends, whether it was like from childhood or college, couldn't come. And so that was definitely like the worst part, when I think about just like bad things from like the wedding. The best part, I don't know. I mean, the whole day was honestly like great. I just had such a, like, it's cheesy, but it was the best day. Like it really was. So I think just, I don't know, getting to actually celebrate with all of our friends after the roller coaster of not even knowing if we were going to be able to do it. But yeah, so best just the people that came and that were there and that we were able to like celebrate, and the fact that we were able to have a dance party during COVID. Yeah. And we end the night back to the hotel. We had a bottle of champagne left over from getting ready that day, and Chris and I went and like met Marlene and Sam in the hot tub at the hotel, and we like all just like sat in the hot tub for another like hour or two, I don't know, and like drank champagne and like talked about the day and just like
decompress.
That's the best after party I've ever heard of. Just you and your best friend and like a bottle of champagne in a hot tub.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
I couldn't get my dress off. It was like, like,
was it too tight?
No, there was like a teeny tiny little button at the top of it because it had a zipper, and then like a couple of like, what are those buttons called? Like with the loop.
I don't know the name for it, but yes.
Yeah. I could not because of the like angle behind like my back, right? And Chris, I don't know, like just could not. No, maybe.
But also, dudes don't understand delicate.
Just, like, like dexterity involved. Like his fingers just were not able to do that.
So how did you get out of the dress?
He finally, I think like both of us like finally managed to like unhook the button. But he was calling like our friends like, I need help. Like Laura can't get out of this dress. Like you need to come help me. And they were like, no, man, you got to figure that out. Like
you're on your own on
right,
that one.
exactly. They were like,
like
no,
a very intimate moment that we should not be involved in. I don't know if you guys know this, but when a husband and wife are now married,
right,
this is your time.
Yeah.
Like, wow, you guys are swinging from like hour one.
Right. Like they basically, they were like, no, we've like helped you enough today. Like enough is enough. Like figure it out. Like Chris, get the dress off. I don't know what the problem is.
Nice.
But you eventually got it off.
We did. Yeah. It was a team effort. I was very sweaty. It was like when Carrie, it was like in Sex and the City when Carrie's trying on wedding dresses and she has like the like panic attack in the dressing room and can't get the dress off. It was like heading in that direction.
Oh no.
Amazing.
So yeah, because I just wanted to like take my champagne and get to the hot tub and like drink with my friends, and I'm like, get this thing off of me.
That's amazing. What a great end to the day.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And we are back. Hi, Pammy.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. You ready to do some bridal breaks?
Yes, always.
Okay, let's just for anyone new to the show, bridal breaks are not only for brides and grooms, they're for anyone helping to plan a wedding. And these are just fun suggestions of things to do that have nothing to do with weddings so that you can take a break from planning and dealing with, the stress of planning your wedding and enjoy your life. Pammy usually gives us a beverage. I usually do something in pop culture, and that's probably what's going to happen right now. We're about to find out. Pammy, you're up first.
So I found this drink. We're coming up on Halloween here, and I thought, everyone. I found this recipe on homemadehoopla.com, and it reminds me of the song because it's called "Purple People Eater Cocktail," which the second you hear that, you start hearing the tune in your head.
Totally.
And this one, like, it's interesting because it really is purple. It's very purple. So how do you get to the purple? It's made with simple syrup, purple sugar for the rim, vodka, blue Caraco, sweet and sour mix, grenadine, and cranberry juice. So red and blue make purple. So there you go.
That's cool. That sounds fun. Yeah, we got to dip into the Halloween while we can. Hold on to the Halloween feeling as long as possible.
Yeah.
So you're going Halloween. My bridal break is pushing towards the next part of the season, going into winter. There's a new reality television show that just started. I think by the time this airs, it'll be like last week. But so only 1 or 2 episodes are out, and it's called Winter House. And what they did was they took people from Bravo's television show Summer House, which are people that just like summer out in the Hamptons, and they put them in a Vermont ski house for I think 3 weeks. But they invited all these other kind of new people, so it feels like a whole new show. So sometimes you feel like intimidated about like starting a new show that already exists because it's like there's so many characters, reality or scripted. You just feel like, oh, I don't even know how to I literally cannot keep up with the Kardashians because I've never seen the show. And I feel like if I were just to dip in like season 18, I'd be like, I don't even know who are these people. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice because there's so many new people on the show. You get to sort of learn everything as it goes. But the whole thing is just like a bunch of people in this one house hanging out. And it felt like I only saw the first episode, but it did kind of have that feel. Remember the bachelorette party we were talking about in Palm Springs where it's like everyone just stays in the house together and hangs out?
Yeah.
It's basically that. I think it's like 12 people, guys and girls. Some of them are coupled up, some of them are single. There's hot tubs, there's skiing, there's games, and they're just like hanging out. Yeah, it's super fun. So I thought the first episode was really fun and I highly recommend it. And I think it's only going to be on for like 6 or 8 episodes because they only shot for those 3 weeks. But yeah, and again, I'm one of these people that I really enjoy watching other people in winter situations. Like I live in Southern California. I have no interest in skiing. Like I love watching Winter Olympics, but I don't know how to do any winter sports, but I like watching other people do it. So it's kind of fun to cozy up on your couch and be like warm and snuggly while watching other people do wintry outdoor things.
Yes, I like it.
And again, it's like, it made me feel like, ooh, it's winter. It's coming. It's exciting. I love the holiday seasons around the corner. So yeah, it's called Winter House and it's currently on Bravo.
Nice.
And that is it for all of our bridal breaks. Pammy, you know what that means? Time for you to stop taking a break and take our lovely little quiz to tell people more about our show. Pamela.
Yeah.
What is our web address?
It's www.weddingconfessionals.com.
Love that you had the www. http://
Sometimes I gotta change it up.
I like it. I like it. From there, you can find all of our social media handles and where you can find us on social. Where are we on social media, Pammy? We're now in 4 places actively. 4.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok now.
We are on
Pinterest.
TikTok. Yes, Pinterest.
We're all over.
We are everywhere.
Find us anywhere.
We can also find links to our show notes. So everything we were talking today about all the vendors that Laura was suggesting that she really enjoyed from her wedding, like they will be on the show notes. Also, that's a place where you can tell us your stories because we need more confessionals, guys. That's how the show works.
We love them. Keep them coming.
Yes, so totally anonymous ways that you can send us your confessionals, either questions, stories, whatever you want to share. On our website, how can you send a confessional, Pammy?
You just click the little tab that says, tell us your secret.
Yes, tell us your secret. The other way is sending us an email. Our email address is what, Pammy?
weddingconfessionals@gmail.com.
And you can send us a voicemail. And Pam, would you like to attempt what our phone number is to leave us a voicemail?
434.
Yes.
433.
But you got three.
Three. I got three.
434-933-2663. 434-933-2663. Also, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts specifically. 5 stars, right, Pammy?
5 it is.
We love it.
They want.
Yes, and that pushes up in their algorithm so more brides and grooms can find the show, so we can help more people and they can join in on the fun. Besides Apple Podcasts, Pammy, there are 2 other places that start with a letter A that has our podcast. Where can you find our podcast besides Apple Podcast?
You can find us on Audible.
Yes.
And Amazon.
Yes, Amazon Music. I'll give it to you. You can also find us on Castbox, Castro, Deezer, Downcast, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Listen Notes, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Pod Paradise, Podtail, Podcast Addict, Podcast Land, Podcast Republic, Radio Public, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. Also, you can just shout out into the universe using Alexa or Siri, and you can find our show just by saying, hey, play the Wedding Confessionals podcast. And it'll say, playing Wedding Confessionals podcast.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and that is it, Pammy. We will be back next week with our follow-up with Laura, and we'll get into some confessionals. I'm excited. How about you?
So good.
All right, see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to Andy Schreier for our adorable theme song.
And David Kantrowitz for our fantastic logo.
And Ramsey Millette and Brian Maylard for their technical support.
If you want to learn more about our show, where you got to go, Pam?
Check out our website, weddingconfessionals.com.
That's it, girl. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.